My name is Jared Sison. I am the quintessential God-fearing, Constitution-loving, good-looking, chubby white boy. I am the progressive leftist worst nightmare. I'm not going anywhere.
She's out of control. She's out of control. Her world's spinning round and around. She's out of control. She's out of control. Her world's spinning round and around. She's out of control.
By Jackie and Marky, two privileged white boys just a raking in cash. Jackie gonna be the internet police. Marky say, hey Jackie, I can help you with that. Jackie said, oh yeah, life is good when you run the interweb like nobody should. Oh yeah, I said life is good when you own a megaphone and up to no good. We'll shut them down and they get no redress. No one to stop us, hell. We own the Congress. We own the servers and the App Store too. You can bet the China flu, we're coming for you. Yeah, you. Little ditty by Jackie and Marky, two American traders just a raking in cash. A long, long time ago, I can still remember how the politicians sold us out.
Oh, Eric.
And I remember with each vote and every blog post that I wrote that maybe that's a ditty for another vlog. Hey, those backing vocals? All right. All right, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Dorsey, let's get on it. We have a problem. We have created the fifth appendage of governance. And this fifth appendage is stronger than any of the other four. Executive branch, which is the president. We have the legislative branch, which is the Congress, which is the House of Representatives and the Senate. The judicial branch, which is the third appendage, which is the Supreme Court. And the media. The media of old, when they were honest, would keep the other appendages honest. When elected officials used to do things that were suspect at best and nefarious at worst, the media used to hold their feet to the fire. Well, they don't anymore. So what's the result? Everything's discombobulated. Now you have the Supreme Court being a legislative branch where the liberal left uses the Supreme Court to legislate things that they can't get through the legislative branch. Imagine you're driving down the road, you got two hands on the wheel, the right hand knows what the left hand's doing, the right foot and the left hand and the left foot, and everybody's working together. Well, all of a sudden, sometime in the 70s and the 80s, the right hand, the media, is starting to hit the people in the face, trying to knock them out, knock them unconscious. And they became successful. The people are getting pummeled by two of their appendages, right? Media, legislative branch. Media, legislative branch. You got no hands on the wheel and nobody's watching the road. Well, all of a sudden, we got a fifth appendage. Right? Where'd that come from? Social media. We have agreed to let it come into our lives in such a deep, permeating way that it is in every part of our existence. We cannot live without social media. Bezos, Zuckerberg, Dorsey. DreamGrow.com published the top 15 most successful CEOs and their social media apps and commerce internet platforms. You notice anything funny about this motley bunch? Does anything jump out at you? I ask because these elites and their platforms like to paint non-PC individuals like Donald Trump, you, me, as racists and bigots. What's funny is, I only see white people here. Oh, and two Chinese nationals. All white people. Coincidence? Imagine social media is like stoplights. Let's say a private company took over stoplights. The stoplights that control all the traffic throughout all the world. Let's say all of a sudden they were owned by a private company. And one day, the private company decided to put a purple light in there where the red light used to be.
And they never really explain what the purple light means. So you run through a purple light, and Facebook says, we're putting you in jail for 2 weeks. And you go, what? Well, you said the wrong word. Well, what word? You said the F word, the new F word. It's 5 alphabet. Think about this for just a second. I can't use the 5-letter word in association with the topic of elections or voting. I can't even discuss it. If I do, I can get suspended or canceled. Doesn't it bother everyone that social media has become the thought and word police? So all of a sudden, you didn't obey the purple light or the blue light, and you have to pay the consequences. Like Professor Toto. They put him in Facebook jail, cut him off of his broadcasts for weeks on end. Like Doug TenNapel, demonetized, took away his source of income. These guys couldn't be more different from each other, but they are equally valuable. Most importantly, they're both patriot journalists. That's where we are today, folks. You say something, you say a word that Jack, Jeff, Mark don't like, well, you just ran a purple light. And because we let this social media overtake our lives, we have to start listening to blue lights, purple lights, red lights, yellow lights, green lights. Free speech is being crushed. You could be going along thinking you're obeying all the rules. You got your business, it's your website, it's all your commerce comes in on it, and all of a sudden, poof, one day, it all goes away. The way of feeding your family, the way of keeping the lights on, destroyed. Somebody can come by and close your doors and say, you're not making any money for a month because you said the wrong word. They don't like something you're saying. Zuckerberg, Dorsey, they get the phone call. Next thing you know, you're demonetized or you disappear. Yes, these are private companies. The problem is we have let these private companies take over something that should be free. It's almost like letting a private company control air. And all of a sudden, you want to breathe, and they suffocate you. My children will never have anything like the childhood I had. They won't know what it's like not to be doing this 8 hours a day. Do we really need the affirmation of Facebook and these fake lives that we create for ourselves? When you don't have to answer to Messenger, and you don't have to answer messages, and you don't have to look at tweets, and you don't have to look at your inbox, do you know how pleasant that can be? Do you know how your mind all of a sudden expands again and you realize there's other things in the world? You need to start putting down the phone. You need to start putting down technology. Tell yourself, hey, I'm only going to have technology for 7 hours today, and I'm going to limit it to 7 hours. You pick the 7 hours. You might be laughing right now and say, oh, I can limit it to 7 hours. You're going to see how much that phone has been dictating your life, altering things, perverting things, limiting your time, limiting your relationships, changing relationship dynamics. If you're in your 40s or 50s and you know what it was like before iPhones, before technology, and you're letting this thing change everything about you and the way that you operated a decade ago, how dare you? Because you know what? Your children are watching. We have let ourselves grow the 5th appendage. We, the people, deserve to have our ass kicked. And you know what? It's happening right now. And if it isn't happening to you exactly right now, don't worry, it will. Or it's going to happen to your son or your daughter or your father or your mother. Somebody's going to get shut down because somebody else didn't like a word they said. You'll be affected by it sooner or later. So you better get on the right side, people. When the framers, our founding fathers, convened for the first convention of states to decide whether or not they were even going to have a United States, they asked themselves, what's the most important freedom we need to guarantee each of our countries? Which they essentially were at the time. They were individual states or countries. And they all agreed, it was unanimous. If they were to have this federal government union, it would have to guarantee free speech. The First Amendment. Free speech is not for the things that sound nice to us. Free speech is not for the stuff that make us smile and go, oh, isn't that great? And we click our heels. Free speech is for the things we don't want to hear. Free speech are for the things that make us cry. Free speech is for the things that trigger us. Like when Galileo said to the Catholic Church, hey, you know, the earth isn't the center of the universe, and the sun doesn't go around the earth and everything. It's actually the sun is the center, and all the planets go around it. Blasphemer! Blasphemer! Imprison him! Free speech is so that even the absurd can be said. Because sometimes 5, 10, 15% of the absurd ends up being our reality and our future. And there's a lot of good in that. It's not all bad. Everything must be permitted on the internet. Everything. Filth, beauty, decadence, righteousness, it must all be permitted, and we must be given the agency to choose. You cannot say fire in a theater. That's protected under law. You don't have to worry about that. If someone wants to say something like that or create a public hazard, they will be held accountable. But free speech must exist in a free society. In Jack Dorsey's world, in Mark Zuckerberg's world, as much as they think they are enlightened, they would have censored Galileo. In the same way, they censored everyone who postulated that maybe the Wuhan flu came from a lab run by the Chinese government. Facebook is a publisher. They alter content. They let you know what they think about certain posts. They censor people. Twitter is a publisher. Do you know why they can do what they do? Do you know why they can ruin people's lives and they can shut you down and close you off and silence you and make you disappear? Because they're protected under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, circa 1997, I believe. They don't have to watch what they say. They don't have to watch what they publish. They're exempt from being sued. They claim to be able to enjoy Section 230 because they're not publishers. Publishers alter content. Publishers decide what can be printed, what can't be printed. Publishers decide what stories get spiked and what stories get run. Sounds like Facebook and Twitter, doesn't it? The only answer to all of this madness, this crushing of the human spirit, is for us to eliminate the apathy in the average voter. You have a responsibility as a citizen so that you can keep enjoying all these luxuries and benefits that America gives you. They just don't come by accident. Things are going to change really quick, really soon. How many of you know who your local congressman is right now? Come on. Yeah, kind of embarrassing, isn't it? You need to let them know you're watching. That's what January 6th was about. January 6th scared the status quo, scared the power brokers. I'm not talking about the few hundred that masked themselves as Trump supporters and went in and caused havoc in the Capitol. And I'm not even talking about the guys who were stupid, caught up in the moment, walking inside the robes like they're taking a tour. Says, hey, Capitol's open after those thugs smashed the windows and busted down the doors. I'm going to walk in here and see. Those guys were stupid. I'm talking about the others. The other 99.99% who were outside. The 1.5 million. I was there. It was beautiful. We scared the devil out of the status quo and the power brokers in the world. They never saw a group that big. There had to be 1.5 million people. It was never adequately reported on, but there was a lot of people there. We need to become active in our government. I would love people to be able to work under unbridled capitalism with zero restrictions, but you know what? Every now and then, we need a Sherman antitrust law. Because sometimes titans of industry become too strong, monopolistic, and they band together to crush any emerging competition. Social media and the few people who control essentially everything in social media are now manipulating every aspect of your life, whether you know it or not. What you think, what you should eat, what you should drink, what you should wear, who you should like, who you should hate, what you should be triggered by. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I don't know if we could actually do a Sherman antitrust equivalent with social media today, because too many of our elected officials are already bought off, bribed, blackmailed, even in our Supreme Court. There's not enough freedom-loving, altruistic, honest politicians left. We're in a bad place. But we definitely need the revocation of Section 230 in the Communications Decency Act. That's got to go. And then Google, Facebook, Twitter, antitrust laws. You want to talk about collusion? There's colluding happening right now, right in front of you. And before you go thinking that Zuckerberg and Dorsey and the like are socialist, altruistic humanitarians, they're capitalists. Ask them if they would keep just $500 million. Ask them if they would give up the balance of their fortune on truly philanthropic pursuits like world hunger. Capitalism. Social media is capitalism on steroids on acid. We need to start holding our elected officials accountable. If we care about our children's future, our grandchildren's future, we need to start being responsible citizens like our founding fathers. If we don't turn this around now, it's going to be too late. And some say it already is. We need to educate. You need to educate yourself. Citizen journalism. Patriot journalism. It's okay to say you want America to be the best country in the world. Facebook and Twitter didn't happen in any other country except America. And there's a reason for that. They had the freedom to be successful. And now Zuckerberg, Dorsey, Bezos, and the lot want to change that for everyone else. They got theirs. We can shut this lottery down now, yo. When we see something, we need to say something. And then we need to do something about it. Oh, yeah, and you know what? If you haven't already signed the Recall Gavin Newsom petition in California, do it. Recall Gavin Newsom. That's a really good start if you want to be a responsible citizen and you live in California. I'm Jared Sison, Patriot Journalist.